You're not watching that thing, we're over time. Call the meeting to order. If I'm a little stricter today, it's because I was told yesterday that I needed to be more careful about following the rules. So we're going to follow the meeting. Apparently, when I say the meeting is adjourned and it continues, roll call. You got well, now who we got? We got Chris. As long as we know that. Public comment, correspondence. Anyone here for public comment? Approval of the minutes of the February 22nd, 2024. What is that? Yeah, 2024 regular meeting.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Anything else? Comments, corrections, changes to the minutes? Minutes appear to be fine, so we'll go ahead. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Fire service and law enforcement news updates. We've got a full agenda, Bill, so.
I'll try to make this fast. On the fire service line of duty deaths, please note again, cardiacs are the primary cause. Moving on to the law enforcement line of duty deaths. We had 2 in Burnsville, Minnesota. Additional third was a SWAT team paramedic from the fire department who killed a domestic disturbance. Mrs. Penker was with her sister in the city suburbs. They were not able to attend that, but they saw the whole memorial service broadcast to the city's TV stations, as you said. Truly impressive stuff going on in that service. Just a point of irony on traffic crashes struck by vehicles. A Georgia State trooper was struck by a vehicle and ironically had just been assigned to investigate. The traffic death of a fellow trooper was also struck by a vehicle. And a citizen has posed a question, and perhaps later on the agenda, Chief Garrick and Deputy Chief Passer could address that one. This relates to agenda item 18. A citizen that asked me, what resources are we using to deal with officer stress, especially in the sensitive crimes area and drug investigation, as well as and 2 that came to me just yesterday. Wausau PD is requesting a permanent fence around their parking lot to enhance officer safety. And Wausau PD is applying for a $15,000 grant to assist in replacing the school-based therapy block, which has been in service since 2017. That's it.
Thank you. You and I have talked, Chief, about building safety. Have you given that more thought, or is there something coming? Or?
Yep. We are going to look into the CIP process. Whether or not we get a new building, I want to make our lobby most secure. I think that's our most vulnerable spot. And I found two companies with 2 different options to change the glass in the lobby. One option is actually removing the whole glass. Well, both options are removing the glass, but one option is replacing it with bulletproof glass, which is pretty expensive. But Travis and I were at the Chiefs conference and we found a vendor that actually does a glazing over glass, and it's significantly cheaper. And I'm hoping to fit that in this year's CIP. And then if we are blessed enough to have a new building, it will, the lobby will be secure for our people and the rest of the building. The separate parking areas is on the top of my list and among other things. So we've been thinking a lot of them.
Okay, thank you. It's too bad that has to be the level of concern that it is, but President, it's important. Approval of fire department bills, Chief.
You'll see in item 6, 2 sets of bills, both of them approved by Commissioner Henker. I didn't pull anything out as of anything of note unless anyone has any questions. I'd ask for your approval.
I've got 2 questions.
Yes.
Page 6D. We purchased a new firefighter's helmet. What is the cost? We went to a European style. Is it equivalent or higher?
I believe they'd be a little bit higher. I'd have to check on the pricing on them.
Less than say 700.
I believe they would be. I would have to look at that. I can't give you
But somewhat equivalent.
yes.
And then the other item is on 6F. I just wanted to point out to the rest of the commissioners that the rack and roll device, which is indicated there, is a Wisconsin product.
Yes. Yep. And we've used that for quite a few.
And what is it?
It is a device that both empties hose and rolls it up at the same time.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I think we should have one of those. Maybe 2. Very nice. Anything else on the fire department bill? We need a roll call motion. We need a motion, yeah.
I move to approve the bills.
Your second to Bill's motion to approve the bills.
I second it.
Thank you, Steve. Roll call.
Hirschman,
Yes.
Henker,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Hanson. Hanson. Let's try it. Hanson.
Chris, can you hear us? Apparently he cannot.
I can call you Keel. Do you?
Yes.
I think he was trying to approve them.
All right. We have a majority vote. Okay. Next would be approval of the police department bills, Chief.
Thank you. Good morning. Essentially, you have 3 packets. This
Yes.
as we're wrapping up
Because we can't hear you.
as we're wrapping up 2023. I also did not see anything of special note. However, I would be able to answer any questions prior to your approval.
Okay.
Yeah, jump in, I apologize. I just called Chris Hansen. He said he cannot communicate back. So I asked him, when he wants a yes vote, he'll put 1 up. He wants a no vote, he'll put 2 up. Is that fair for everybody?
That's just fine,
Okay.
as long as I don't remember grade school. Don't you remember having to do that in class when you needed to?
I figure that's the easiest way to do it.
And then you got 3 sheets. All right, so where we got the roll call? No?
We need a motion.
We need a motion. You move. Who seconds?
I will make.
All right. Would somebody second Bill's motion to approve?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go forward with the roll call.
Hirschman,
Yes.
Pinker,
Yes.
Dee,
Yes.
Hanson. Okay, Keel.
Yes. Motion carries. Steve, do I remember that you would respond to this one, or are you going to show?
On 8, I'll do 8, and then item 9, Deputy Chief Bakes.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, our fire department activities, training reports, correspondence packet that you'll see in your packet. In February, we had 316 calls for service, another busy month. You'll see a bunch of ride-alongs and a lot of fire prevention activities that Deputy Chief Mueller were involved in. As of note, I wouldn't pull anything special out of it in February, but if anyone has any questions, please let me know. Or I'd like you to place in the file.
Any comments or questions?
No questions. Page 8B. Discuss the training tower project.
We're repairing the training center tower.
Okay.
Repairing the ladder specifically, adding a part where you can step off from the roof on the top.
Okay.
Anything more?
And page 8D, get a fire alarm quote for the fire department.
Correct.
How is it not working? Is it out of date?
It's nearing the end of its life cycle.
Okay.
The fire alarm system, if I understood your response, fire alarm system in this building
Correct.
is nearing the end of its life cycle.
Correct. About 15 years is the life expectancy of those systems due to technology changes. All the detectors are at the point where they're at the end of their life cycle, which would be the smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detector. So we're at the point where we're looking at the panel as well. I did meet with the company that installed that panel, and that panel is nearing the end of its life due to the technology needs. So we ascertained a new quote for that, for the CIP.
This is the new fire station.
15 years old.
Yeah.
It's the new fire station.
Correct. 15 years old.
Yeah. 5 years ago, Hefco pools, then
All right, we need a motion to accept and place that file. No, we just do it? Yeah, okay, sure. The safe haven baby box, you're gonna deal with that?
Yeah, so last month, you guys remember that we had public comment on it. There was a couple members of the public asked us to look into the possibility of installing one in our department, and the commission supported that. Started doing some investigation, identified a few places in the building where we could install it. My next step was to talk with the company that designed the station, and found out that the way our station was constructed with the walls, they're precast concrete with built-in support inside the concrete. They highly discourage us cutting any holes in our concrete because it was not designed for that. So that pretty much stopped that idea.
Okay. Well, would one of you get in touch with the people who were?
I did respond to them right away.
Okay, that's good. That's good. You know, I don't know that it's a bad idea. I don't know if the fire station is the best place for it. Somehow the emergency room area at the hospital feels brighter. Anyway, well, thank you for checking in. Jody, this one, obviously we have to do it, but what's going on that would cost
So item 10 and 11, you'll see in your packet the resignation letter for firefighter paramedic Ryan Dunn, who's been with the department for 5 years, who has resigned, is moving on to a different department to be a firefighter paramedic in the city of Merrill. I would ask us to accept his resignation letter and then dovetail into item 11 for us to approve to fill his position. So I can move this upon to the Finance Budget Personnel Committee. This is a budgeted position.
Okay. So we have, I think we'll do this separately. Motion to accept the resignation.
I'll move to accept the resignation.
Thanks, Randy.
I'll second it.
All right, and thank you, Steve. Any questions for the chief on this matter? Hearing none, do we need a roll call? I would think it would.
Gershman,
Yes.
Hager,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Hanson, Keel.
Yes. Now, the second,
And as I said, in for item 11 on the agenda, I'd like the commission's approval to request to fill this position. This budget, it is a budgeted position, so we could move it on for permission here, approval, so that I can move this to the next level at the finance budget personnel. It'd be appreciated.
Andy, I'll make a motion to approve.
thank you, Randy.
Second.
Bill seconds. Any discussion of the motion?
How will this be posted?
I'm sorry.
How will this be posted?
We will be, once we get through the different levels of finance budget personnel, and then those minutes have to, if that's approved there, then getting through the common council, then I'll be working with Sarah from HR so that we can, we've actually been in short since last November, been working with HR to get ready to put our campaign forward to get recruits to update our eligibility list. So in short, I won't have specifics for you on it, but what we'll be doing is we'll be advertising like we did with the police opening and things like that, a very similar gig.
Any other questions? There are no additional comments or questions. It's your
Gershman,
Yes.
Hager,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Hanson, Keel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, and I hope it goes well.
I hope so too.
Review and approve chaplain's policy 332 for Marshfield Fire and Rescue.
I'd like to pass this over to Deputy Chief Eric Jonas, who's been working very closely with his chaplain's policy 332. So pass it over to Eric.
Good morning, and thanks for allowing me to be here today. As Commissioner Keel stated, we're talking about Lexipol policy 332, the chaplain policy. What you guys have in front of you is the third revision of that policy. Following the last meeting, I met face-to-face with Commissioner Pinker and went over the changes that you guys discussed. Following that meeting, I then met with the city's HR director, Sarah, and we further revised it, which then produced what you guys have in front of you. I hope we can work together today to get this important policy passed, as it will benefit our people directly as well as the citizens of our community. With that, I'll field any questions you may have. Your policy, everything in blue was added, and everything in red obviously was stricken.
Thank you. we would need a motion to approve the policy.
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Comments or questions about the policy and its approval? Then I'll call the question. Let's do it by roll call. Yes.
Gershman,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Schmid,
Yes.
Hanson, Keel.
Yes.
Thank you. If I could just have a second, I thank the commission for approving this. I want to thank everyone that's worked hard on this. There's been Deputy Chief Jonas, I know Deputy Chief Weiland, quite a few of their deputy chiefs that worked on this. Pastor Nate, who happens to be here, thank you. Also, this is something that is important. It's been needed in our department, and it'll be important for us to move forward. So just appreciate the commission approving this, and appreciate everyone's hard work on this. It was a long way getting to here, but we got to the end where we need. And this is something that's important for our department. So just wanted to say thank you.
Well, I agree, it's important. And Pastor, I hope you know we, at our last meeting, had a couple of tweaks we asked for. Appreciate your willingness to be involved.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, that's a good thing. Position description for the fire chief by Sarah.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here today. What I did, the job description that is in the packet, what I did is there were, and we kind of discussed this last meeting, there were two job descriptions that were kind of floating out there. One was an internal one to the fire department and Fire and Police Commission, and then there was one that the city had, both very similar in most aspects. And what I did is took into consideration kind of the comments that were made and suggestions, and just made a few adjustments, mostly calling out the difference between minimum requirements and preferred optional requirements. And what I did for total transparency is I researched out what I was seeing out on the market as far as minimum and required or preferred things for education as well as experience. A lot of what was already in the previous packet job description, I definitely saw out there a wide variety of what is required versus what is preferred. So what I did is I placed these here, but definitely feel free to correct anything that I may have gotten wrong, or if the preferences should change. But I thought this would be a good place to at least begin and hopefully move from there. So definitely open to any comments, questions, and we can go from there. I did remove the physical demands section, and the only reason is not because it's not important, but for the actual job description that will be posted out there, we typically don't put those out there, and I wasn't seeing those out there for other job descriptions as well. So any questions or comments?
And we have to go through his glass on and off, glasses off, glasses on. Without reading glasses, I can't read this stuff. But with them on, I can't figure out who's who. So complicated. So this is a direct job description for the fire chief's position. And I assume what you're looking for is any questions, discussion, suggested changes, or alterations.
Yep.
So as far as the commission is concerned, what are your comments for interests in this draft? Bill?
On page 13F. Under, minimum required and then preferred option. On the preferred optional, I would like to see the National Incident Management System and the ICS moved up to a requirement. And then I have a question for you. This is regarding Fire Officer 2 and Emergency Service Instructor. What did your research show about those positions as being requirements?
So most of them were, from what I could see, were shown under the preferred optional, but with the verbiage that they were required within a certain amount of time. Mostly I saw those for the Fire Officer 2 certification and the Emergency Services Instructor. Then the NIMS information, it varied. And it kind of depended because the job positions that are out there for fire chief right now vary between what kind of department, like what they do. So that one I sometimes saw, and then I saw differences as far as which like 100B, 200B, 300, I saw differences in which were preferred versus required overall. So that was one I definitely would prefer direction as far as what the preference from this group would be on that.
Considering the fact that fire departments most frequently are the center of incident command, and also considering the geographical situation, where we are the largest agency and potentially the command agency of government, I'd like to see that up to a requirement. I refer to the chiefs as to seven, I think seven, let's see, 1 through 2 and 3 through 4. I don't recall what the 700 are.
I'd have to look it up again. My mind says to me, 700, what I thought was, there was one in there that was a emergency private entity interaction, one, and, introduction. Introduction IMS.
I can tell you in educating new firefighters and new EMTs, 100, 200, 30 for entry level.
Yeah.
Okay. So take National Incident Management System, NIMS, ICS, move that. My preference would be to move that whole statement up to minimum required.
Comments? When I'm asking for comments, I guess I'm asking for the fire staff. Does that seem a reasonable requirement to you? Would it preclude otherwise qualified candidates from applying?
I don't believe so. But like Deputy Chief Baker said, in entry-level firefighters, anyways, for 100, 700, 800 are required. And I believe most departments, 200, 300, and 400, you have to do for you to be compliant. Even like when we do, when we're putting all for grants and everything, we have to certify that all of your staff are NIMS compliant, and that's part of the compliancy with it, the minimum compliancy. So what Commissioner Panker is saying, for that to be in on the what's required in looking at this right here, I don't believe that would be too strict of a requirement.
Wouldn't be an impediment to candidates.
Would not.
Does anyone else have questions about Bill's?
I do. I do, if I can, just a little bit. So I think we want to have the broadest application process we can. So I just want to re-review, so we'd put it on as a restriction, or we would not have it as a restriction?
I'm not sure what the word restriction means as you're using it.
Well, okay, so if you have a designation that somebody has to have, you're going to restrict them from applying if it's part of the application process, unless my follow-up question would be, and that would be for HR too, is do we have discretion as a commission to overlook that requirement if we find a candidate that has skills, but maybe not that one designation or training?
I would say that is definitely not recommended, but I would say that if someone is, let's say, enrolled, but maybe is, or like partway through something and is on the way to completing it, then I would say that would be okay. But typically when you're putting required things on a job description, that's basically the base level that we would remove candidates from the process.
Randy?
Yeah, I just don't know enough about the designation, whether it's, my question would be for Jody, is that training widely held then? I mean, give me your response to that.
So I'm not really prepared to be 100% specific on this, so I want to give you a disclaimer. But I believe each one of these, the last that I looked at it, are courses that are available online through the FEMA website. And I believe they're all free of charge. So they are attainable. Prior to COVID, even they had a real big push to put all of these online. So these basic ones, I know, I believe all of them, the last I looked at them, are available online. Online course.
I'm looking at it right now. All the courses are under the FEMA website. You can take them right on the FEMA website.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate that. Yep. So if you didn't,
good. So just one follow-up. How much time does it take to get those designations, Everett?
How long would it take you to get the designations?
Yeah, I know I'm going in the weeds here, but it's just.
Well, I want to say an hour for 700, an hour is allotted for 800. Hour would be allotted for 100. 200, I think, is a 2-hour course, and 300, I think, is like a 8-hour.
So per the FEMA website, the class at the bottom, you'll get 0.4 CEUs. Class length is listed at 3.5 hours.
Which one?
For 700. Okay. So each class will have that designation, but it's definitely attainable online.
And I'd also note that for the 300 and 400 level, Marathon County Emergency Management has been pushing the classes up in also here. Okay. So Randy, to answer your question, they are available.
Going back to my own experience, it was not uncommon to have a requirement that if you didn't have something a year to complete the training or the experience or whatever, would that be satisfactory though? If they didn't have it, they could complete it in the first year of employment?
It's still my preference that 100, 200, 300, 400. Those are basic command functions.
How do the rest of the commissioners feel?
I think the 100 through 400 series should be a requirement.
Okay, and beyond 400?
Time frame allotted that they have to complete it within.
Yes, sir.
300 and 400 are actually advanced level classes. It's kind of out of sequence. 100 and 200, those are the lesser, and then 700 and 800 are introduction. So the 300 and 400 would be the advanced level, meaning that they're going to be for major incidents.
So what would your recommendation be?
The recommendation be 100, 200, 7, and 8. I think upon employment, 300 and 400 to be obtained within the time frame you've set.
Bill, that may not be, he would like to see, but would that satisfy him? Okay. Did you write down what he said?
100, 200, 700, 800 are going to be required. 300, 400, they could get within a year or a time, whatever time frame you guys slot.
I'm going to take that as a motion. You can say I made it.
I'll second.
We have a second to the motion. Further discussion on this matter? Anyone see any horrible consequence?
I think the 300 and 400, if those courses are available before the end of a 12-month period of time, needs to be taken as soon as possible, as reasonably possible. And I don't know, are those available online? I know when I took them, at least 400, I believe that one was in classroom setting.
Let me just double check, but I believe 300 and 400 now are available online.
And if they are, I'm just going to go with it. If they are available online, I think a year is an exorbitant amount of time allotted to take those. I think maybe cut that in half.
6 months? 6 months. 6 months. Any objection to that change? Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, call and we'll do roll.
Gershman,
Yes.
Hager,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Hanson, Keel.
Yes. Thank you all. Now, that's that piece of it. I think we have to approve the position description then as altered. Is that correct?
With the changes.
Anything more that you would like to see changed? No. Okay. So I think the issue at hand now is to approve the position description with the changes as amended. Yeah. Could I have a motion to that effect?
I'll move to approve the job description with the recent changes and amendments.
Thank you.
I will second that.
All right. And did you have something more you'd like to bring forward? Any discussion beyond what we've already had? Then we go forward with the question, roll call.
Gershman,
Yes.
Hager,
Yes.
Meek,
Yeah.
Hanson, Keel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Police Department activities, training reports, correspondence, and any other good news.
Thank you. In your packets, so you have a list of activities. One thing I wanted to bring out to your attention that isn't always in our activities is on the 5th, Shift 2 reviewed a incident on video. Basically, they had a shift training. And this happens more often than many would think. And we've got a lot of resident experts in our department. This is something that we do to provide training to our folks without really going outside of the department and spending a lot of money on travel and things like that. What this was one of our officers came across a video somewhere on some media and thought that they could bring it back and debrief it as a shift and what they would do if they were called to that same call on that day. And it's just a way that I think is really cool with our department, where they're always striving to learn and take pieces of knowledge wherever they can find it. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. Other than that, it was a lot of other formal trainings and community involvement, and it's good to be moving again, even though it's been a few years since COVID. It's always good to recognize how we can reach out and make a difference. So,
any comments?
I was at the awards banquet. Excellent recognition of our people.
Very nice.
I would just ask that you place those on file.
Okay. Item 16.
Yes. In your packets, there's a memo that better explains probably than I can right here, but we currently have 2 dual-purpose canines. Our dual-purpose canines are trained for drug detection and also for apprehension or prevention. And as you know, we have 4 shifts. The majority of our drug arrests have been made on the patrol level and during a drug interdiction traffic stop. Our canines are pivotal in that role. They're able to smell the odor of illegal substances, which gives us probable cause to search the vehicle. Having more of these tools available to our people would be pivotal. In addition to the drug world, if you will, the dogs are also very useful in building searches, which are very dangerous. If we have a suspected burglary, we have to search the building. These dogs are great with that. They help us find missing people. Their uses are amazing and very pivotal. We have a healthy canine fund. Most of that is donated or earned through our canine officers and our citizens donate money towards this cause. I think that now would be a really good time to add a 3rd dog because it's going to fit well within the expected lifespans of the dogs that we have. So we're not hit with a whole bunch of costs to replace more than 1 dog at a time. I would, there is an additional cost to the department. We would, anyone who's assigned the canine is given the special rate of pay for our union contract. So there's an additional cost. This year, that would be fairly minimal because we wouldn't have a dog until at least September. So we would maybe a quarter of the year be exposed to whatever that increase would be. After that, we'd be able to budget for it. I think it'd be a pivotal thing for our department, and I would ask for your approval to move forward with purchasing a 3rd dual-purpose canine.
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve acquiring another canine. Maybe I am particularly sensitive at this moment. But once you obligate yourself, you don't know what future expenses you're going to have. I have a dog at home that's recovering from knee surgery. And at this point, I have just a hair over $7,000 invested in that. So I would hate for us to think that we get the dog and then there's no additional cost and then community members will opt for it. There's going to potentially be cost.
I completely agree with you. And that's also part of the strategy with adding now. One of our dogs is getting a little bit more advanced in age, but we've had 7. I think this will be our 8th canine that we've had. So we've got a little bit to gauge on what we've been exposed to cost. That's run the gamut. With that, I still feel that this would be a really good addition and a good time to move forward with a 3rd.
Okay. The chief has asked the commission to approve acquiring a 3rd canine. I need a motion.
No, we have it.
Oh, we have a motion.
Yeah, there's a motion, a second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion, comment?
I just
go ahead.
I just had a comment, something that had come up probably 15 years ago. There was an article about using canines for building searches, which was one of the professional terms. And it mentioned during a training exercise, they had one officer as the burglar in a warehouse. And they were sending, I think it was 2 officers at a time in to conduct the search. And just because of the darkness and the layout of the warehouse, one of the officers took a covered position and simply shouted out, "Come out or I turn the dog loose." Now the guy the officer was hiding, did not know if the dog was there. And he surrendered. And I think people that have had interactions with dogs, just be polite with that, recognize in the end that they are very valuable. And perhaps putting up with a bite and a trip to the emergency room is better than a gunshot.
All right.
I have one question for Jody, if I could. So Jody, obviously we're being preemptive because of the age of the oldest dog that's in service. When that dog would be replaced, do you come back to the commission and seek approval to do another dog?
That's a really good question. I don't know that we have in the past. I think that we've moved forward with replacing them. I guess I would ask this body, do you want me to come back before replacing a dog that's in service now? My thought is that we are expanding our canine unit to 3, and that I would maintain that just as I would our vehicle fleet or anything else. But I look for your approval or your direction in that.
Randy, does that response?
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. It's just, and I've had some discussion with PD about this in the past about adding, so I'm not surprised by the request for a 3rd dog, and I do support it. It's just, I do echo Andy's thoughts too. It is expensive in terms of your labor cost is higher, and upkeep of the dog, and that's the only reason I asked. Not that it's a big issue whether or not, but I guess you answered my question. If it's existing part of the canine unit, I believe you would need to come back and ask for approval, but it'd be nice to know when the new dog does come on board.
Yeah, I would definitely let you guys know if we lose a dog, and when we were getting another one. It's a pretty exciting time when we add a dog or when we get a new dog. I would certainly let the commission know when those issues are happening.
In effect, what I take you to be doing in the request for a 3rd dog is you're establishing a standard to have 3 dogs.
Yes.
And that's really what we're voting is we want to continue to have 2 or 3 dogs.
Right.
And if we vote in favor of acquiring another, we're really supporting a 3-dog standard, if you like.
Yes.
So given all of that, is there further discussion? We have a motion on the table, and I'll call the question.
Hirschman,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Meek,
Most definitely agree.
Hanson, Keel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Andy,
Yes.
I got a question that does not relate to the motion, but relates to the law.
Yeah.
I know there are some states, I believe, primarily south of us, that are increasing penalties for attacks on police dogs. How do the Wisconsin statutes treat those attacks? Are they doing that the same as attack upon a individual officer?
It's, if not the same, I believe it's similar. There was recently one, I want to say in Green Bay, where a canine was attacked. The penalties are stiff, to say the least. So it seems as though Wisconsin's following suit with that. I don't know for sure, but my recollection, we are. So.
Okay. Because I know in some of the legislation, these other states, they're looking upping the penalties to the equivalent of attack upon a uniformed officer, as well as medical expenses, placement costs.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. We'll turn the page on our agenda and go to item 17. All right.
Thank you. As you may recall, our department has been working short essentially since Assistant Chief Zepps retired last year. With the budget issues or financial issues that the city's been facing and doing our part to help those, to help alleviate those, we have left positions open. We were approved at the beginning of the year to hire a record specialist immediately and to put off hiring law enforcement until May. We've done a few things to help save a few more dollars, I guess, as the year went on. And one thing that we did unintentionally is that the hiring process for the record specialist took longer than I anticipated. We hope to have one hired right around the 1st of April, but we have essentially saved about a quarter of a year on our employment costs for a record specialist. And my hat's off to the record specialists who have been picking up the slack. In addition, we've left the position open in the Detective Bureau, which does save more in the wage than it would in law enforcement, and also helps us to control the overtime costs because they're not subject to minimum staffing. So we saved a little bit of money there. I had a conversation with our finance department, and our target was to save about $35,000 by holding off the hiring until May. Just with roughly crunching the numbers, we're well over $49,000 that we've saved so far. We've also gotten sideswiped with some unanticipated vacancies. We had one officer that's been off the books, so to speak, since February. I was just notified recently that a detective is going to be moving to a private sector. He's got an outstanding opportunity, and we'll discuss that in a later date. But he will be anticipated to leave around the middle of April. So that's, exposing us to 3 open positions in a short time. We're currently running a process. As you know, I teach in a couple of the area technical colleges. There are 2 folks that are currently in the academy that have applied. They're phenomenal people, and phenomenal people don't stay on the market long. So what I'm asking is that we can move forward with the hiring process and to hire at least 2 as soon as we get vetted and through our process. The third one, I would wait until we have our detective actually move out and join the private sector and it's off the books. But we have currently 2 vacancies, and I would really like to move forward with filling that as soon as I possibly can.
Are items 17 and 19 related in that way?
No.
No, they're not. Okay. So what you're looking for is permission to move forward with the hiring process for 2 officers that are leaving and leaving you with open positions.
No, we have 2 that are open right now. We have 2 positions that are open, and one that will become open shortly. But the 2 that we have now are not in anticipation of any leaving. They're vacant positions.
So we would need a motion to encourage the police department to fill those 2 open positions.
I'll move to approve. I'll move to approve.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Steve. I have a motion and a second. Do we have discussion about the proposal? Hearing no discussion, we'll call.
Gershman,
Yes.
Hager,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Hanson, Keel.
Yes. Item 18, Officer Wellness Mental Health Update. And I think we need to hear that, but I'm afraid Travis is going to beat me up if he doesn't get to where he should be today.
Yep. Travis Travis and I are both very motivated to improve our officer wellness. And I just want to I'll make this as brief as I possibly can. We have been looking for a opportunity to provide counseling and support to our officers for quite some time. And there's not very many options out there that can help us and be specific to people who serve as first responders, because we're just wired different. And Lieutenant Parks rather did run across and find out an opportunity for us to move forward with, and in a retired Appleton police officer who now is counseling. He retired early to take on this role. His name is Ignacio, but he's affectionately referred to as Nacho. He is, from what I can tell and talking with other departments who use him, a phenomenal resource. We have had some donated funds that have been in our books for long before my time here, that folks donated to the police department for an undesignated purpose. And I couldn't think of a better way to use some of those funds to launch this program for us. We will use the designated funds, or the donated funds rather, to launch this, which requires all of our officers and record specialists to meet with Nacho, and they don't have to say anything, but Nacho's going to introduce themselves and open that door so that if there's ever an issue, they have someone to go to. This goes hand in hand with our chaplain program and our overall wellness for our people. And I'm really excited to launch this, and wanted to make sure that you all know what our intentions are and what we're doing.
Thank you, Chief. Comments or questions from commissioners? Bill?
So you're going to have all the personnel meet with this gentleman. And then from that point, if a need arises, he's going to handle that or refer to someone else if needed.
Exactly. And all of this is done in a discreet way. You know, it's not where anyone has to get approval from us to move forward or anything like that. It can be done after the initial meeting. Things can be done virtually, and really it's just us providing a resource for folks so that they have it.
Now, the particular citizen that contacted me was very concerned about, I guess you'd say, at this point in time, fewer officers in, as an example, the sensitive crimes investigations and those that are involved with drug investigations, in particular with the drugs, dealing with, entirely new class of context. Do they undergo any sort of regular counseling, or with this?
That's what launched that's what really spurred maybe some of this, we wanted to provide that for our folks that deal with those types of things more than others. But in reality, all of our people in police and fire deal with things that the normal person doesn't, and much more frequently. And some tend to be overlooked. Our record specialists have typed reports from incidences that were just terrible, and they live in that world too. And so for us, we just want to make sure that we're not focusing that this certain position needs more mental health than another incident, because everybody's wired differently. We want to provide that service to all of our employees.
And would you anticipate any cases where you or Travis could say, hey, John Doe, you've got to see this person.
As far as one of our employees,
Yeah.
it's a resource for us
Okay.
to do that.
Okay.
If we see that that would maybe be a good fit for someone, it's something that we could use.
Okay, thank you.
Jody, you might expect this from me. Do you know what training this man has to do what he's doing?
Yeah, he's, I believe he's at like a master's counselor level, and which is most common. So what he can do is counsel us. He's worked in the profession. And if things get to where there needs to be a higher level, then he would refer. So he has people that he can refer to go up or down. So what happens, one of the advantages with having a counselor level is that it's someone who understands how we are and is skilled enough to know where to send us, where we wouldn't know where to go.
Okay.
I have his credentials, I just don't have them with me, so I can send those to you if you'd like.
Well, I tell you what, next time I'm in, set him on a corner of your desk. The next time I'm in, I'd like to see what he's
Absolutely.
done. That's an important role to play. And there's very particular training available for people who want to do that kind of work. And I'd like to be sure. Otherwise, I'd have you be talking to Hat to find out what our liability would be.
Understood.
Okay, thank you. Recognition of police officers. Would you like to?
I'll do that, and then I'm going to pass this on to Travis. We have two officers that are being recognized by the Wisconsin Professional Police Association for very heroic incident. And you may recall a little while ago, Terry Endries was presented the First Responder of the Year from Representative Spiros. This is regarding the Dayton incident. What wasn't highlighted during that particular award was that Alex Mitchell was on duty and responded to that crash as well. The crash didn't happen in the city. We were providing mutual aid, which we do from time to time. So upon arrival, Officer Mitchell assisted Officer Endries, and they worked together to save a couple of people's lives that were involved in the crash. The WPPA every year does recognize officers, and it's a big deal. And they have recognized both of our officers, and we'll be presenting them with an award at their banquet this year. And I thought that this would be a really good place for me to express how proud I am to work with both of them. So
it's fine. Would you share with them our commendation for the work they've done and the role they play?
I'd be happy to.
We should have an internal. All right. Travis, you're on.
All right. Thanks for the opportunity. I felt like last month we had a heavy agenda, and I probably dumped a lot of this on you pretty quickly in regards to our intentions of changing our values at the police department. So hopefully we've had some more time to review, and Jody and I have had the opportunity or tried or have met with each of you individually to try to maybe better explain our intentions with the values. And then we got some feedback from those of you that we did meet with and took that feedback into consideration, sort of recreated the document, got rid of some headings on there, and created a graphic around it to maybe better explain our vision for it. And so both of those items, I believe, are included in your packet. And so I don't want to rehash through everything I did last month, but I would just be open to questions about that to maybe clarify any more in regard to what our intentions are with the values.
Travis has asked the commissioners if they have comments or reactions to what he's presented to us, and then we would need to approve it.
I just have one comment, Andy. I really think this process that the department went through was very thorough, and I think especially the fact that there was some input given by the Fire and Police Commission. I know Commissioner Penker did a great job in terms of helping just articulate what your vision is. I appreciate you meeting with me too, as far as just have a clear understanding of the reason why we're doing it and changing it. But I do like the graphic, and with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Randy. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
We have a motion in 2 seconds. Any additional comments or questions? I think you did a fine job. And Travis, you were at the head of that, right?
Yeah, but I would like to say again that it was brought forward by one of our officers. And so it was great that it came from that level and we all collaborated together. And again, I think it's one of the most intentional efforts we've had since I've been there in terms of a large and a good representation of our department being involved in something that's super important that I think they will all embrace and internalize.
Super, super. Any other comments or questions?
I just say, I met with both gentlemen and I had sat down and done an exam, and those golly gee moments, they came up. I came up with something which was very similar to what they had. And I believe it was somebody from the front office that designed this. Congratulations goes there. As Chief mentioned to me when we met, this provides the perfect opportunity to have a logo that could go stationary, go on squad cars, so forth. Congratulations, great job.
Yeah. Travis, when you get into this kind of stuff, it goes real slow. But it usually works out all right.
It was a good process. Appreciate it.
So we have a motion. We have 2 seconds. Are we done with discussion?
Hirschman,
Yes.
Pinker,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Hanson, Keo.
Yes. That takes us through our agenda. Is there any, agenda doesn't call for new business, but is there anything that we need to deal with? Yes.
President Keel, could I please, I just want to have a point of clarification for some information on items 13 and 14. Back to the chief's description, there was questions about the NIMS, 300 and 400. If I could do a point of clarification. Obviously, my staff, we wanted to scramble to get those questions answered as soon as possible to give you the right information. Right now, the FEMA website has scheduled maintenance. So we're trying to look up those 300 and 400. So right now it is under it. 300 and 400 is on the list of courses that are online, but there is also a disclaimer, and if it'd be okay if I read it. ICS 300, 400, and then there are a couple other listed, are coordinated by local emergency management agencies. Please contact them directly for course offerings in your area. Contact for state or territorial emergency agencies that can be found at, and there's a hyperlink for that. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that I'm not trying to give misinformation that it's 100% online. It's listed on the list of online, but as Commissioner Penker said, that I have seen 300, 400 being available in Marathon County / Wausau for those. So I don't believe your motion would be invalid, or would be the time frame you gave would be extraordinary, but I don't want misinformation out there either, that 300, 400 are 100%. We're trying to give you the right information to make decisions. So I just wanted to note that before the meeting was over, in case there was some issue or any commissioner had a question about that.
No, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Basically, the government says they're available, but when you try and get them, you gotta go through.
Yeah, like I said, I wanted to make sure we have the commission has the correct information and there wasn't anything misled there. So I just want to make sure
No problem.
that's the point.
No problem.
Thank you.
Anything more for next meeting? If not, we are adjourned.